Now, moving on to our next speaker, Lai Lacaba is the CEO and co-founder of Two Times You, an outsourcing company that specializes in switching service-based entrepreneurs from owning a job to owning a business with a highly trained executive assistant who comes with a custom business operating system. She has been working from home since she was 15, published her own books at 18, became CEO at 20, and partnered up with her boss to start Two Times You Executive Services at 23 and aims to help 10,000 entrepreneurs growing remotely and 1 million Filipinos to work from home. She also has a coaching brand on YouTube where she trains virtual assistants on how to work from home. She is also an international speaker and a content creation monster who has a blog, a YouTube channel, and an upcoming podcast.
Wow, that's a lot. And I have, again, fun facts about Lian. So she can do splits. Like how? She can finish reading 3 to 5 books in a month. She loves watching Broadway musicals. And she would love to travel different parts of the world just to speak for her co-founded business, Two Times You. Taking the virtual stage with her speech entitled How to Fall in Love with Life, streaming live from Cebu City, ladies and gentlemen, Lai Lacaba.
When was the last time you fell in love with life? As I was introduced, I was started out my whole journey when I was 15 years old, when I stumbled upon working online. That was kind of the path I got to from someone who wanted like, hey, can you be a writer for me? I'll pay you online. I was 15 years old. I didn't have a PayPal. I used my mom's name for my PayPal. And at the time, I am an ate of four. I was starting I just accepted to UP Tacloban, and my dad at that time was working overseas, as many Filipino children at my age have experienced where your parent has to work overseas for a good life. So I could not imagine what opportunities working from home look like because it seemed so foreign. But since then, when I got other gigs, I got graphics gigs, video editing gigs, I got almost anything under the sun, I would say yes and fall in love with it. At 18, I sadly went through Typhoon Yolanda, if you guys remember that, Category 5, where the water rushed into our home. And I remember for a split second, as the water was climbing up to my neck, that I thought, I want to change my life. I want to have a life that I can fall in love with. And since then, I've kind of got into this pathway where at 20, I was CEO of a publishing company in the US. And at 23, I asked myself, what's the next thing that I want to do? At this point, I want to explore. I want to do something different. When I became CEO of the company, it was already started. I want something from scratch. And I got the opportunity starting out to XU from scratch because it was something that was very close to where I wanted my life path to go. I wanted to teach other people how to work from home and give people opportunities on how to do just that. And for me, it was like, okay, I need to create jobs. How do I do that? I get clients who will want to work with us and hire their people from the Philippines. So since then, I've kind of grown a lot of my brand, a lot of the things that I've been teaching on YouTube. But behind that, I've gone through a lot of really dark times. After Typhoon Yolanda, I went through very hard PTSD. I've gone through depression, anxiety. Sadly, about 2 years ago, I lost my mom to cancer, got out of a 10-year relationship. And what you could probably think was one of the darkest times, as I was also really trying to grow to XU to a certain point. And it was really difficult. And I remember it was right even as we were getting out of the pandemic, and I was getting out of this kind of pandemic depression of figuring out, okay, what do I want to do next? And it came from the many books that I read, from the many authors and the many mentors that I've had, that I wanted to keep going back to that memory that I had when I was 18, where I was probably going to drown if I didn't change something about my life. And I wanted to go ahead and fall back in love with life. And since then, I've been working a lot on myself. I've been to therapy. I have been teaching a lot of what I know, not just how to work from home or how to be a virtual assistant, but also how to be productive, how to be someone who cares for themselves, how to be someone who gives instead of someone who takes. And with that, again, learning that process of how to fall in love with life. And I have 5 different steps for that. One is start with gratitude. It's so easy to take taken to just forgetting that everything that we have right now can be just so taken away just like that. So starting with gratitude of even the small things in your life. I was grateful that the sun was shining today, even though, most days it might be raining or I might feel lazy, but the sun was shining. I was ready and excited to move forward with life. So starting with even just the small things in life, it doesn't have to be the big things. Just start with gratitude. Second is focus on your strengths and don't compete or compare. It's really difficult, especially for us women, to not compare ourselves. I sometimes will find myself walking through the street and I'm like, oh, she looks so much better in that outfit. I would never pull that off. Or I would see other speakers speak really well. I'm like, I don't think I can get to that level. And when we do that, we bring ourselves down instead of focusing on our strengths, instead of focusing on the things that we can do, that we love doing. And hence why 2XC also makes sense, because for a lot of our clients, they're able to delegate the tasks that they don't like so they can focus on the things that they love. So focus on just what your strengths are instead of comparing or competing with anyone else. And of course, the third one is do one thing that you love every day, even if it's a small thing, even if just taking a 10-minute walk, just because then you're seeing things, you're noticing things that you probably would have never noticed if you didn't take that pause. It could be, for me, it's reading a ton of books. I have 3 different bookshelves here in my room and probably going to add more, but that's something that I love. I love to read. I love to explore. Fourth is to rest. It's really important that you put in the time to, again, take care of yourself. Put in the time to take a break. In my week, I take Wednesdays off mostly because I know my Tuesdays and Thursdays are all back-to-back meetings. So I know I need to recharge to be able to give to other people. Just like how in the airplane, you have to put on your mask before you can put on other people. Make sure that you give back to yourself by resting. And finally, show up. People forget that to be able to get to where you want to be, you have to keep showing up that you're the person who wants to be there. A lot of the opportunities I've had in life, very early on, I've shown up for it. As I mentioned earlier, I'm very much a yes and person, especially for this opportunity. I was like, yes, I'll figure out what I want to talk about, because it is such a privilege to keep going. I could have stopped my story of my life at 18, but I'm still here. I'm now 27, and I'm still pursuing the things that I want. I'm going for my goals because I want to show up. And finally, I want to share with you guys, because I was reading this book while I was waiting for my turn. It's called the 5 a.m. Club. And I came across this beautiful, beautiful quote. And I was like, I'm going to bookmark it here while I'm reading. And it says, to find your best self, you must lose your weak self. And that only happens through relentless improvement, continuous reflection, and ongoing self-excavation. If you don't keep rising daily, you'll get stuck in life for the rest of your life. And makes me consider what the journalist Norman Cousin said: the tragedy of life is not death, but what we let die inside of us while we live. Isn't that beautiful? It's just like very much, I was reading, I was like, oh, that's such a good quote for this, to end this, because constantly we go through life on autopilot. There's already AI coming. Why be another AI? Be a person, live, fall in love with life. Even through those 5 steps, just do one small thing every day that you can fall in love with. And hopefully after this, you can choose and see, you can notice around your room, like, oh, I'm grateful I have that. I'm happy I have that. Oh, I haven't touched that in a while. Want to go back into that thing that I know that I love. Because you never know what life will surprise you with. Thank you so much for Global Women Who Rule. You guys are amazing. I am amazed by all of the amazing stories that have been shown so far, and I'm very honored to be here.